Finally, man, I am here with my main man, longtime friend, basketball trainer. I don't know if he still calls himself a coach, former D1 player, all around good guy, man. One of the good guys in the hoop culture out here in the suburbs of Chicago, Mr. David Brown, all about basketball. How are you, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a long time coming, man. I've been dying
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah, well, so we got a lot to cover today, man. I'm looking forward to this conversation. You and I both come from the same cloth, and at the end of the day, you know what I'm here for. We're trying to help parents, coaches, and athletes get better at navigating this world, and you are a big part of that. So, before we get into the training stuff, what we always want to do is have people tell us their story. Tell us your basketball story, man. How you went
Mhm.
from that kid that loved it to that kid that played D1. That's huge.
Oh man. Okay. Well, where do I start, man? I guess I really start by just you know playing in the YMCA. To be honest, with my dad and my brother. Obviously, I started way younger, but I'm not gonna go all the way back then and give you guys that. Oh, I started at a young age. My love for basketball truly started with just hooping in the YMCA, hooping outside. We used to live in the city in Chicago, and my brother and my pops were always just better than me. Right? They would crack jokes, call me names, tell me I suck, and that was kind of like the drive that I'm like, hey, I want to really get better at this thing. So. Um, After living in Chicago for a while, we moved out to Rockford, Illinois. I attended a high school called Heininga, Rockton Heininga, where I was a 4-year starter all 4 years. Um, well, let me go back. So I did start all 4 years while I was at Heininga, but I actually started as a sophomore. I started on the sophomore team as a freshman, and then during the Christmas tournament, the coach ended up moving me up. And then after playing for my remainder of my freshman year, I just became varsity starter from there on out. Did my thing, all conference, all state. The list goes on. And then started playing AAU basketball. Play AAU basketball for all the way from I want to say about seventh grade, all the way to junior senior year in high school. And I played with the Rockford Ambassadors, Madison Spartans, and then I ended with the Illinois Warriors, which was back then was a Nike sponsor. They do it different now, right? This EYBL, Adidas Gauntlet, all that crazy stuff. We just called it Nike back then. So I was on a Nike sponsored team with the Illinois Warriors, and really just kind of took off from there when I was with them. Got a lot of my big offers. I attended Western Michigan University, where I played 6 years. Torn ligaments in my ankle, tore my ACL pretty much actually twice, and then finished up my college career there. Was able to recover from all those injuries, and we actually went to the NCAA tournament in 2014, and that was a great year. I had a big role, a big part of it, but I'm not going to say it was just all me. I had great teammates. And then it was a great experience getting to play against, Syracuse in the first round. I thought it was kind of a little bit unfair just because we ended up playing Syracuse in Buffalo, New York. So it's like, a home game for them. And after I got done playing basketball at Western Michigan, I ended up going overseas to Poland. And then I just couldn't really do the overseas life. Knee wasn't really holding up too well. And then I came back, started a small business called not all about basketball, I'm sorry, Dynasty Skills Academy, which was the same platform I'm kind of using now. Basketball training for kids and of all ages, all the way up through pros. And I just had a bigger vision. I started with a buddy of mine back then. We just didn't really see eye to eye. And then I kind of went off and started my own thing, which was all about basketball. And, man, it's just been a great thing. I think I'm pretty well known in the Chicagoland area. But I'm just continuing trying to grow this brand, partnering with different vendors, different gyms, and just trying to spread the word and the knowledge that I was able to learn over my course of playing, and I'm still learning. Right? I don't think I know everything, but I do think I know a lot. And as a trainer, I feel like if you're not learning each and every day, then you're just settled, right? I pick up things from other trainers. I pick up things from coaches. I pick up things from watching basketball. Pick up things for reading books. I mean, I just do it all because I'm kind of obsessed with this game. And, I just want to, be that voice for, the young kids, from high school guys, middle school guys, all the way to, guys that still playing professionally. So I know that was kind of not as quick, but, a quick little background about me. I don't really like to brag about myself, but I do. I was pretty good back then.
Well, you know what? I was actually going to press you on that because I think what happens is, and I can relate to this, when someone asks you that, you get conscious about not bragging, but you got to understand, David. There's a lot of young kids every day that have D1 dreams. I got some in my head right now. I can see their face, and when you tell them that you played Division 1 and you just kind of skip to that, like I played for the Warriors, then I got looks, and then I went D1. You make it seem like it's easy. So I got
Yeah.
to press on you a little bit and like dig into it for them and let them know the challenge. Let's start before we can go to the D1. Let's talk about the Warriors because a Nike-based program back then was difficult to get an invite to. So how did that come about, and what process did you go to get that invite?
Oh man, it was not as easy as it is now, right? Back then we didn't have all that, the videos where people are just chopping up, different films for pretty much everybody. Just kind of like what Austin Rivers said, when he was on the podcast. I mean, if you weren't that dude, you're not getting a highlight video. You're not getting put on, Ball Life or anything like that. If you're not one of the top players in the nation, people not following around just kind of videos for you. So it was kind of, for me, it was more so word of mouth. I was in Rockford, Illinois, small town, until Fred VanVleet made it, huge, but not a lot of people really came out there to really watch ball players. So you really had to get on the circuit. And when we were playing with the Rockford Ambassadors, we went down to the city. We dominated a lot of city teams, but nobody was willing to give us a chance because we were from Rockford, Illinois.
Now you're saying we, David. I want to ask you, like, when you're thinking about that team, because this is important for kids to think about. Were you one of several great players? Were you the best player on that team? Where did you in that match?
For the Rockford Ambassadors, I would say I would probably say, I was probably one of the better players, but we had a really, really good team, but everybody played their role like subpar, right? It was, we were full of great players, but we really didn't have anyone that was kind of like the man. I think I was the only one that really went D1 out of that team. But, I mean, I had this guy named Eddie K who was built like the Thing from the Fantastic Four. He was just huge, and especially being in 7th, 8th grade, that big, going into your freshman year, he was a wrecking ball. We had another guy named Eddie Bowman who was about 6'7", in this, 7th, 8th grade, and he was blocking everything. Then you had me, and you had this other kid named Nathan Green, who went from Rockford Lutheran, but could shoot the lights out. And he, like, when I said he didn't miss. So teams, and then we had a point guard named Xavier Pittman, who was just, quick as lightning. Our press break was he ran around and he took off full court. We just threw it down court because nobody could keep up with it. That's how fast he was. And we were just a group of guys that really just enjoyed being around each other. And then we had some other guys on the bench as well, Kashif Maxwell, Jaden, another guy named Jaden. I mean, it was crazy, right? We just had a nice, solid core that fed into what we were doing. We weren't the most athletic. We weren't the most flashy team, but we competed. And when teams came and played against us, we didn't have any egos. It was just, okay, David, you do your thing. Nate, you do your thing. Eddie, you do your thing when it's time. And we won a lot of games, man. We competed with a lot of teams. We made teams, days of living hell, just because everyone understood what they needed to do to win the game. And, I really, really do miss that team. I think that's probably one of the best teams, I played for, in my opinion. Not take anything away from the Warriors, because Warriors, we're really good as well. But that Rockford Ambassador team really showed me what it was like to be a part of a family, right? To really show me what it's like to be in a system or be in a role and not try to do too much. So I really give my basketball knowledge to them, just because it was, I was good. I could have did whatever I wanted, but they really showed me, like, hey, this is how we need to play basketball in order to win on a big stage. And, from there, I went to the Madison Spartans, where I played with some great guys, Vanderblue, who went to Marquette. He went overseas. He's still playing overseas. And then Jerron Maymouth, who went to Tennessee. And, playing with them, that just took me to the next level. I had to increase my game a little bit more to keep up with those guys. And, some things happened with that team and it kind of went under. So we're kind of stuck and trying to figure out what we're trying to do. And, I went to I had another, good season. And next thing you know, I'm getting a call from Larry Butler. Larry Butler's like, hey, you want to come try out for the Illinois Warriors? And that my mom and my stepdad, Sean Reed at the time, they were just like, yeah, let's go try it out. Went down to the city. There was DJ Richardson, Drew Crawford, Darius Smith. There was, everybody. I mean, everybody that you can think of really in the city trying out for a team. And luckily I made my team. My team was full of, Darius Smith, who went to, UConn, DJ Richardson, who went to Illinois. We had Drew Crawford, went to Northwestern, Delano Deer, who went to Toledo. So, that team was just full of guys, but it was nothing really I did. I didn't put out any mixtapes. I didn't make any phone calls. I just hooped. I just played ball and, was praying that someone saw my talents, and thank God someone did. And, Larry Butler called my phone and I made the team, and it just took off from there. And once it took off from there, everything started opening up more. Guy invites to LeBron's camp. He's sitting and making phone calls, to different coaches, different programs to come watch me play. And, pretty much I would say probably by the halfway point of that AAU season, I had maybe 20 plus offers on the table, just from him knowing everybody and being part of that program, being on that EYBL, as the kids would say, but that Nike team, and just being able to go to different, camps and different tournaments and showing people what I can really do. And, unfortunately I got injured a couple of times with ankle injury. And, that's kind of where Western Michigan kind of stayed on me. I was kind of injury prone, but, those big schools, because I had Oklahoma State, DePaul, Florida was on me at one point. But once I got hurt, a lot of those big schools pulled off. And Western Michigan, Missouri State, Bradley, those schools kind of stayed on me, even DePaul. But back then, DePaul wasn't very good, and I didn't really want to stay in the state. So I was like, I want a different atmosphere. I want a different environment. And at that time, it was really only Western Michigan. And, I did like what they stood for. I liked the program. I liked the facilities. And I was like, why not? So I went over to Western Michigan, and thank God it paid off because we were able to win a ring. Now, a lot of people can say they won a conference championship ring and got to play in the NCAA tournament. That was great for me.
We absolutely have to talk about that. I love that experience, because it's like, they talk about the percentages of the people who make it, and it's only 7% of us that play college sports at any level. But then when you break that down further, it's a much lower percentage that play Division I basketball. And I think when you get into that Division I, now you start talking about big programs versus mid majors and all that, and it's always a relative conversation. It's like, well, yeah, I went to a big school, I went to mid major, or I went to an NAIA school, but we all play college basketball. So, but talk to me about the difference, because I went NAIA and I don't regret that at all. Yeah. But tell me what that D1 experience is like, and let these young people know what it is they're actually trying to reach.
Oh man, so that D1 experience is different, man. Mid major, high major. I mean, there is a difference, but it's not anything crazy, right? I would probably say when I first walked on campus at Western Michigan, I was not used to the physicality and the quickness of it, and the concepts of it, right? I was used to always having the ball in my hand and, blowing by any defender I want, getting into paint, creating for others. When I got to, Western Michigan, it was a totally, totally different game. The work ethic was totally different. The strict schedule they had was totally different than anything I was used to. So people look at a mid-major is good, but it's not high major. Well, it really doesn't matter. A lot of these mid-majors are being a lot of these high major schools. But I would really say the difference between, like a Duke and, I don't know, like a Western Michigan or something like that is the money, right? They get more money, they get more boosters, they get a lot more, bang for their buck. Not saying, we were better than Kentucky at the time, but, they get those high major players that are 6'9" point guards right now. But it was just, the physicality. Some of those players were just grown men. And a lot of these kids nowadays don't understand that there's a difference, right? So when I walked in there, I'd say the biggest thing for me was the quickness, the physicality, and then just understanding basketball at a different level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I watch a lot of these kids play, everybody on having these highlights, they're good, but you see a lot of these kids struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're great players. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good players, especially in the Illinois area, in the state. But they go off to these big schools or they go off to mid majors and they think they're going to be able to do the same thing. And it's like, no, man, this is when I go back to what I was talking about earlier, you have to fit a system. You have to fit what they're trying to do, right? Because the game has changed so much. It's not, let me dribble this thing 4 or 5 times, come down, pull up a crazy jump shot. No, it's a shot clock now, boss. You got to move this ball real quick. And then on top of that, guess what? There's a junior or senior who was all-conference player last year. You think we're going to give you the ball over him, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. So that's what a lot of kids just don't understand, and then they want to, put the blame for somebody else. And I think it's crazy when that happens. It's always somebody else's fault. And I was one of those guys too, man. I was, it's the coach's fault. It's this player's fault. It's somebody else's fault. But then I just looked in the mirror and said, man, I'm not working hard enough, right? It's like they recruited me for a reason. Let me go back to, doing what I was doing because, quite frankly, I wasn't playing like that when I first got there. I was always hurt. My coach even told me, probably like a year ago, he was on the verge of cutting me because I was always hurt. But, I just didn't do what I needed to do, and I wanted to blame everybody else but David. And then I changed that around, man. Once I figured how quickly basketball could get taken away from me, I was just saying, man, I got to do something different. That's why I started taking the weight room a lot more serious, conditioning a lot more serious, getting up all these shots. I mean, kids think, getting up a couple 500, every week is cool. No, you got 2, 3, 4,000 shots a week. It's a job. I tell kids all the time, it's a job, man. So when you're on that campus, they own you for pretty much for 4 years, and it sucks to say, but if you truly love that game, you're gonna do everything you can to stay at that school and stay on that floor.
Well, man, this is tough for me, David, because you're moving faster than my pen can move, man. You got so many nuggets there that I want to touch, but I don't want the interview to go like into that training space yet. So I'm gonna stay on your story for a second.
Yeah.
But man, you're talking about accountability. You're talking about too many dribbles. I mean, there's so many places I want to go.
So much, right?
We'll get there. But just staying on your story, you say, okay, it's a job. You realize you get to D1, it's a job. Now, in general, the brain says that things that are fun are more fun than things that are jobs. So when you get there and you realize it's a job, did any of the fun go out for you? Was there any challenge to that? Was there a hill to climb? So talk about that. And then I want you to go deeper than just looking in the mirror. Was there any coach that held you accountable to the point where you started saying, I can't play the blame game anymore?
All right. So let's go back to your first question. You just threw a lot at me. So the first question was what? Where
I want to know, like, when it's a job.
It's a job, right?
It's a job. Is the fun gone?
When I wasn't playing right away, yes, the fun was taken away, right? Because, I wasn't really playing. I came from averaging 20 plus points a game, 30 plus points a game in high school, dominating the AAU circuit. And now I'm sitting on the bench, behind, which quite frankly, I understand now, I was behind the MAC player of the decade, and his name was David Koo. So I couldn't really, at that time I was upset, but at the same time, now that I think about it, I was like, this dude was a bucket. He's a MAC player of the decade for a reason. And then there was another guy, Martell. But when I say, my first year and a half, almost 2 years there, the love was gone. I still enjoyed playing, but my love was definitely gone. And then after a while, it was just like, going back to the other question, kind of leads into it. It was, I got to look at myself in the mirror and see if I truly love this sport. And who really, really helped me kind of see basketball in a wider vision was Larry Farmer. I don't know if a lot of people know who he is. He was on that UCLA team, and John Wooden, where they just won back-to-back national championships.
Any relation to Jordan Farmer?
From the Lakers? No. Larry Farmer. He's a little bit older, man. He no
Okay.
relation to Jordan Farmer.
Okay.
Larry, he absolute legend, right? If you guys don't know who he is, they need to go look him up because
All right.
he broke down basketball. I mean, he was Coach Wooden's right hand man, right? He played with Bill Walton. He broke
Oh,
everything
okay.
down. Yeah, so he's a little bit older. So yeah, he was on that UCLA team back in the day, and when they won multiple national championships in a row. And I had the blessing of having him in my corner, another guy named Clayton Bates who played at Florida, back in the day, and they were both my coaches. But the guy and another guy named Coach Holland, his name was Coach Holland. And what really happened was I got the most from Larry because Larry broke it down so much where he said, you got to stop feeling sorry for yourself and start understanding why we recruited you. Now he didn't recruit me at all. The guy that recruited me was Andy Hipsher. Larry came in, probably a couple of years after. But Andy Hipsher recruited me. And when I wasn't getting a lot of playing time, Larry was just like, Coach Farmer was just an open book. He let me come in his office and just kind of, vent to him. We watched film together. He told me about, his days playing at UCLA. And he was never just a jerk. He was always just real with me, right? He kept it 100. He was like, you're not doing this. You're not doing that. Let's watch film. Let's break it down. Same with Clayton Bates. They all broke down the film, and they all may help me understand, like, dude, it's you, right? We're telling you what to do. We're giving you the platform on what to do. We're showing you everything. We got the equipment. We got the facilities that you need. Are you taking advantage of it, or are you just happy that you're at the D1 level? And it wasn't until like I actually started working a little bit harder. I started, going in for film. I started getting up those extra shots. I started really locking in the weight room where everything turned around. And then it was to a point where, I still wasn't getting a lot of playing time, but I was like, you know what? Screw it. Because the head coach that was there, he saw me playing. He recruited me too. His name is Steve Hawkins. And I was just like, he recruited me for a reason. So let me go back and do what I was doing in high school, do what I do best and score this mug. Like, let me put this ball in the basket and show him that I can actually do this. And next thing you know, we had a guy, his name was Nate. He got into it with Coach Steve Hawkins. And I was on the road. I was playing well. I was coming off the bench playing well. I was doing everything I needed to do. And next thing you know, they got into it in practice. And he said, screw it, David, you're starting, Nate. I'm not putting up with this. And I ended up starting. And I was just like, in my mind, I was like, hey, all that hard work it paid off just because I went back to, not being a jerk anymore. I started listening to people who've won, who want the best for me, and has been somewhere I want to get to. Yeah. I just didn't go listen to somebody, just because they think they know the game of basketball. No, I listen to Larry Farmer because he's been there. He's won. His names are in the record books. So why wouldn't I listen to him? Why wouldn't I take his advice? Because he's been somewhere I want to be. Yeah. So I really give a lot of props to him just because he literally broke the entire game of basketball down to a science. And when it just all was said and done, I said, I got to go back to doing what I'm good at. And next thing you know, he's sitting back smiling and, we met. He was like, I told you. But unfortunately, bad luck happened. We were playing Duquesne. I'm starting playing well. I drive, and just like how Derrick Rose tore his ACL, same way. And I tore my ACL probably like my second start. I tore my ACL. And, I had to sit out a couple of years. But I came back. I came back stronger. And, but I tell kids all the time, man, they got to stop blaming other people. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop making excuses for yourself. It's like, are you guys doing what you need to do? Do you truly love this game?
Right.
To be that player you want to be? Because it's hard. It's so hard. And, a lot of trainers, a lot of coaches, a lot of everybody, they never been there. So they teach these kids that it's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy whatsoever. And just watching, Fred VanVleet and JD, because JD's in the training world too, and that's his brother Fred. He tells me all the time, like, Fred works hard. People thinks it's easy. Fred is an undersized guard, but It is hard to play this game, and that's a problem with I think a lot of kids nowadays that they just don't understand how hard it is, and they just want it easy. You know?
Well, I have so much respect for you for being able to admit that, because I think in our craft, a lot of us, once we get to the coaching, training craft, we only tell them what to do. We tell them what we know to be right now in hindsight. And
Hmm.
very rarely will we admit that when we were players, we had some of the same issues.
Yeah.
Especially now you hear the generational wars happening all the time. Everyone's saying that this generation is so soft, blah, blah, blah. And there's something to it. I'm not saying there isn't. But I know when I was a kid, the people who were 20, 30 years older than me didn't exactly think I was tough.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, not at all.
The way it is. So I think we all mature as we go, but we do have to have that epiphany where you realize it's about me taking on who I am. So my question to you now, David, is give some advice to that kid who isn't getting the looks. So when's the time? When is it the right time to say, you know what? I'm not D1 because no one's looked. Or should I go if I'm a junior? And I haven't had any looks yet, and I still got the summer of my senior year. Should I still be thinking D1? If I'm a senior and I'm done playing, should I still be thinking D1? When's the right time for me to start thinking about something else?
Um. So I tell kids not to look at, if it is it D1, D2. I tell them look at, are you going to get your school paid for?
Mm.
It can go D1. How are you going to get your school paid for? How are you going to make sure that you come out of school debt free? How are you going to make sure that your parents aren't stressing about, making this payment each and every year? Because quite frankly, it really doesn't matter where you go, D1, D2, D3, as long as you get your school paid for. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's nice to come out of school debt free. Um, I also tell kids don't ever stop giving up on your dream. That's in my opinion not the right way to approach it. You just work so hard, and wherever you end up, it's a blessing, right? So if you want to be D1 but you're just not quite there, hey, take that D2 offer, because now you're still in a college program. D2 is just as good as a D1, because some of these D2s out there are just as good as a D1 program, right? So take that D2 program or take that D2 scholarship and get your body right, become a college player, because just like every kid is doing now, you can always enter the transfer portal, right? You can always transfer, but never miss out on your opportunity and never give up on your dream. If you want to go D1, work towards that D1 goal. And then next thing you know, you might get that D2 offer. It might just be as good. So I always tell people just to keep pushing for every dream. You got D1. If you want to go play in the SEC, if you want to go play in the ACC, work that hard. So now it just becomes a habit, right? So now it's not, oh, I didn't reach my goal. No, you're used to working that hard. So now when you get to whatever school you end up, D2, D3, you're already out working everybody, and you're already putting yourself on notice, and you're already setting yourself up for success, because you trained your body to be used to it. You've trained your body to go over the top. You trained your body to get in the gym and get up extra shots. You trained your body to start lifting weights a little bit harder, because that's what you were doing back, when you're in high school. You got the extra reps in. Because there's guys that's, in D2, D3, even at D1s, that just happy with being there. So now you're passing those guys up because you're putting in that extra work, and you trained your body, your mind, your body, your everything to be used to being at that top level. Hey, I'm going to do this extra. I'm going to go watch extra film. I'm going to get up extra shots. I'm going to talk to coach a little bit more about what he wants out of the offense or what defensive principles they need. I'm used to that. I'm not walking in there with a big head thinking, hey, I'm the man, and I deserve this spot. Don't train your body early. Get up, get up early in the morning. Go on your run. Go on your weightlifting. Whatever you do in the morning, start making a routine early, because it becomes a habit, and that's what happened for me in school. And it just didn't happen for me in high school, because I was never told that. So if somebody's telling you, hey, stop giving up because you're a senior now and you're never going to get that D1 offer, cool, right, great. But you're working hard enough. Somebody's going to notice, right? Somebody's going to notice, because I'm working that hard.
So you mentioned earlier in your story how you were saying, back in your day, you didn't have to do all of the social media, the video, the showcases, all that stuff. It was just hoop, they'll find you. But honestly, is that good advice in 2023? Can I still take that route, or do I have to play the Instagram game, the Twitter game, the sending my video out to 100 people. What's your advice to the kid? I mean, how much of this is just work and how much of it is playing the game a little bit on social?
Well, nowadays, I probably say it's about 50-50. I mean, you
Okay.
definitely, nowadays, you definitely going to have to, shoot those films, those highlight films just to, get some views, I guess. That's what a lot of people like nowadays. Just to get somebody at, some school to kind of hear it and like peep that way. Say, okay, let me go check out this kid. But the thing is, the problem with these videos is that a lot of these kids make these spectacular highlight videos, and then they'll get a coach to come see them, and they're absolutely trash. So, now he wasted that coach's time. And then the bad thing, that's what it's crazy because these kids will make these highlight videos and they look 100% just dominant. One of the best players I've ever seen. Coach, you go see him, totally different. Well, a lot of these kids don't know, a lot of these trainers, a lot of these coaches, they don't understand that coaches talk. Coaches do talk. So now you just made this highlight video of how great you were. You got all these people reaching, calling this coach, talking about, hey, you need to go check out this kid. They go see this kid, you play bad for a week, whatever. Wherever coach, say, for example, hey, North Dakota State, that assistant coach goes to watch this kid. You play bad for a whole week. He's going to pick up the phone, call at South Dakota State. Don't go check this kid out. He's a waste of time. And it just really becomes just like a toss-up after that because you put so much pressure on yourself. Like, hey, I need to get coaches there. And you get the coaches there, and then you crap down your leg, to be quite frankly. So now you're in that situation where it's like, damn, I crap down my leg for a whole weekend. Now you're kind of playing, you're in that not so good position. Now this coach might go talk to another coach about you and how badly you perform. Luckily, you got people that will probably come out and still watch you, but the social media, man, it hurts. It hurts players, but it also does good for a player because it does get these kids out there. It is a route to put, film in coaches' hands to figure out who they need for 2024, 2025. But it can also hurt you a lot because now you're just worried about posting good videos and posting videos of you working out. But when it's times when the coach actually comes to the gym and actually watch one of your workouts, if you can't knock down those shots, the coach is like, why am I wasting my time? You tricked me. So for me, it's like it's good and it's bad.
That's so huge, man. And I got to speak on that with my AD role. Now that I roll in that space, I can tell
Mm-hmm.
you're speaking 100% facts because small schools, big school, the big schools, they got all the budget to recruit all they want. The small schools don't. The middle schools are in the middle. So, but they're all going to be efficient with those recruiting dollars.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not really recruiting from a fishing standpoint. A lot of times they're going with a target in mind. They're going to see a
Mm-hmm.
particular player, and then they might see someone that they didn't anticipate seeing. But
Mm-hmm.
most of it is planned, and you're absolutely right. So then they help each other help the plan. So
Mm-hmm.
don't go see this kid, and sometimes it works for you. It's like, okay, we're not looking for a spot up shooter, but I know my buddy over here is. They'll call.
Yeah, call. Mm-hmm.
But this is the thing, and I think you hit it on the head. I always tell the kids that it's like window shopping. Your Instagram is the window.
Mm-hmm.
You put the prettiest thing you want in the window, but if I come into the store and you don't have any of that stuff that's in the window,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving the store. It's
I'm
very
leaving the store.
frustrating. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you have to be able to put that on display. And then the other thing, you guys should know this: we like to see game film. Like
Love it.
don't be afraid to put like an
Love
actual
it.
5-minute clip of an actual game as opposed
Love
to
it.
just the clips.
Mm-hmm. I mean, coaches love that's all I get now when I talk to a couple of college coaches. It's do they have game film? It's not. I don't want to see a highlight video because that can be misleading, right? It's do they have an actual 5-minute game film, right? Can they actually come off ball screens? Can they actually knock down this jump shot consistently? Can they do a one dribble pull up? Can they get into the paint without turn the ball over and do a driving kick? Can they come to a 2-foot jump stop? Throw an overhead pass for right on the money for somebody else. Like it's broken down to a science now where it's like you don't need all these fancy moves. I tell all my kids that I train nowadays, you don't need all these fancy moves because if you're a good player, you already have that in your bag, right? So we don't need to work on step backs, for the whole hour. We don't need to work on, playing, making 3-4 moves to score a layup. We need to work on, can you knock down this jump shot consistently? Can you come off this ball screen, make the correct reads, right? Can you play at a good pace? Do you understand, what's going on the floor? Do you know where your big is? Do you know where your lift guy is? Do you know where your pocket shoot? Like everything. Like, do you know how to play the game of basketball? Because if you think you can just come in there and dribble the hell out of the basketball, some coaches might let you, but you probably won't be able to do that until you get to the NBA or overseas. And sometimes you're not even allowed to do that. It just depends on where you go.
So that's a perfect segue, right? We're about halfway through, and that was my plan to spend half the time on you thinking from a player perspective, help these young men get recruited. I should say young men and women, because I don't care what gender you are. This stuff applies to both sides.
Right.
So but this other half, I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna let you go ahead and vent, man, and let it be known.
Oh man, yeah, man.
Let me set you up with this question, because here's
the thing. Yeah.
We, like you said, you're obsessed with this game. You know me, like we're the same. Like this is in my blood. This is what I do. And some of these trainers make me laugh. Like I'm literally laughing at some of the things that they're teaching kids, because I know that they don't know themselves when it applies to a game. And sometimes it doesn't even apply. So I just want you to talk to me about the purity of what you do, because I watch your videos, and I hope you're seeing me, man, because I'm trying to show you some support from afar.
Yeah.
And liking everything you do, man, because you're keeping it so pure and so about what things that actually translate to the game. So with that, go, man. Let's talk to the trainers. Let's talk about that world.
Yeah, man. It's hard nowadays watching a lot of these trainers, right? I mean, I do watch a lot of trainers. There are some really, really good ones out there. I'm a huge Chris Brickley fan. I think he does wonderful basketball. Just because he has those NBA players that are just top notch, he's not making them do anything that they wouldn't do, and he communicates with his players. That's what I really like about him. I watch a lot of Drew. I watch a lot of Phil Handy. And it's just watching them kind of work. They keep it so simple, right? And it's just the fact that they understand their clients, they understand who they are, right? As when I say who they are is the basketball player. And then it comes back that they understand who they are as a trainer, right? If you're training an NBA player, you don't need to teach this NBA player how to, do 5, 6, 7 different moves. Guess what? He's been doing this for a long dang time. He's making millions of dollars, right? So, like Drew or, Phil or, Brickley, they come in, they're keeping it real simple, right? Versus these other trainers who's trying to make this game, this overwhelming stuff about science, how to dip your shoulder, move like Kyrie. Like, you got to move like yourself. First off, you can't move like Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is a special talent. You can't shoot the ball like Steph Curry. He's a special talent, right? That's what he's blessed with. But how can you get yourself noticed? That's why I tell my players, you got to really be good at one, maybe 2 things when it comes to this game. And you got to do that at a high clip, right? If you believe that you're a shooter, you got to make shots at a high clip. If you believe that you can get to a paint, well, you got to show it on a consistent basis. If you can block shots, well, block shots, rebound, find a way to impact the game, because you don't need to always score. Your things are going to always change. So when I watch a lot of these trainings, man, I just like you, I laugh just because it's a whole lot of, step back, all this crazy stuff. And it's just like, okay, tell me when this 10-year-old kid is going to apply all this stuff. Tell me when this kid who can barely dribble is going to get a chance to do all this stuff. Tell me when this guy in college who's only shooting, 20%, and getting 5 minutes a game is going to be using all these moves, right? You got to help this guy get on the floor first, but you're teaching them cross jab, behind the back, wrap, spin move, step back, like all this crazy stuff. And he's only been playing 5 minutes a game, right? So how are you going to help this guy stay on the floor, right? How are you going to get this guy to become, I say all the time, more consistent? That's what coaches want to see. How consistent are you when you're playing this game? Are you a consistent shooter? Right? If you're not making shots, what else can you do to impact the game? Can you rebound? Can you defend? Do you talk well? Right? Do you compete? Are you going to dive on the floor for loose ball? Right? Are you going to be in the right spot on help side defense? Are you going to, listen when the coach is, drawing up a player? You're going to talk to your teammates on the bench. There's so much more to this game that people don't understand, and that's why I try to push towards other trainers, players, coaches. Like, you guys just gotta understand that there's so much. Well, not even coaches, so like more so the players. Like, you guys can impact this game in multiple ways, and it's just not scoring the basketball. So I just it just sucks, man, seeing a lot of this stuff and it just turned into no more. It's not about getting better anymore in my eyes. It's about, hey, I want to work out with you because I know you're gonna post this on social media in my workout. I want to work out with you because you're gonna have you know Jason Tatum or somebody in the gym, and I want to be in the gym. And I want to be able to say I was in the gym with him. But to me, it's like, if you're gonna get in the gym, I don't care if it's a camera in there or not. You better get in the gym to actually work. But like I said, nowadays, a lot of these trainers are getting these young players to come train with them because they're promising them, hey, we're gonna have 3, 4 cameras in the gym, and we're gonna, post this on YouTube or post this on, Instagram for you. And then it's like, you know, is your focus just making sure you get views, or is your focus actually trying to get better so you can actually go to college, or you can start on your varsity team as a freshman? What is your end goal? And that's why I'm kind of upset. And this parents just fall so easily for, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see my person, my player, my son, my daughter with this trainer because they train X, Y, and Z. Well, it's like, well, you guys just like anything, you gotta do your research. What's his trainer's background? Where did he play basketball? Where's he gonna? How can he help my son or daughter, get to where they want to get to? Have you been there? Right? I kind of joke about it. It's like, some of these trainers out here that claim they're trainers have never stepped foot on a college floor, or never stepped foot, in the coach's clinic, or never stepped foot, in the coach's room. But you're going to go train this kid and tell them that you're going to get them to a D1 atmosphere, and you haven't even done it. That's like asking a poor man how to become rich, right? It just doesn't make sense. So, with me, I'm not saying I'm the best. I still talk to different coaches, different trainers. I'm still crafting my stuff. But, when I'm looking at a lot of these trainers, like, what's your background? Where's your end goal for this player? How are you going to actually, help this player get to where they need to? Or you just along for a ride so you can post yourself on different social media platforms and say, look, I'm with such and such at this visit on whatever it is. And I get it. I get it. Trainers do that to, show support, whatever it is. I'm going to do it too because my sister's getting recruited, and when she signs that letter of intent, you bet your butt I'm gonna, be her biggest supporter. And all my athletes that I train. But I don't do it as often as I should, because I get so caught up in just training, right? Yeah, I post a little bit here and there, but it's like, I'm locked in for these guys. I want these guys to have it so badly. I just want to make sure that they understand, like, it's not about just putting yourself on social media. It's about, leaving this gym knowing that, hey, I shot the ball well today. I got better today. I feel different today. And it sucks to say, yeah, I'm gonna have to start posting more videos, or I'm gonna get left behind in the dust. But me personally, I don't really want to do that. But
Coach, I don't think. And please, because I don't want this to feel like a situation where you have to agree with everything I say. So if you disagree, tell me. But I don't think that the videos is the problem. I think it's what they're displaying on the videos. Like we just talked about it. We said that this game now in 2023 is 50-50. I mean, look, here we are. I'm running a business and I'm using social media to
use social
run
media.
it. I have to. It's part of the world now, and that's okay. My issue is not that they're on social media. It's that I can tell, because I'm a purist and I understand every reason why we do what we do as basketball players and as trainers. So I'm understanding that a crossover is for a particular reason. So teaching a kid how to go crossover, tween, behind the back, spin move is pointless if he doesn't know the reason of the crossover.
Wow. Yeah.
And I see kids that have these bags and they're in the bag while their defender's tying their shoe. Like, or while the screen was hit and the guy went under. Like, they don't understand those things are only there to set up the thing that you're working on, which is how to step up with their back foot into a mid-range shot. And so I think that we need more people who are willing to put on social media the purity of our game and how it still hasn't changed all these years later. It still comes down to, can you rise up, get to a spot, rise up and knock it down?
And I do agree with that. I'm not just saying that. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But you got these guys out here that's telling these kids you don't need to do that. Right? You got guys out here telling, don't worry about the mid range. Go try to dunk on somebody. Where it's like, dude, you go try to dunk on somebody and you miss a dunk, mother sucker. That's 2 points, right? The game is to put the ball in the basket, right? That's the point of the game, is to put the ball in the basket. Don't care how, right? So coaches, trainers, everybody watching. That's what I look at. It's like, okay, you're passing up a mid range because you want to make a highlight and try to dunk on somebody. If you dunk on somebody, great. But what happens if you miss that dunk, right? When you got the guarantee for sure mid range jump shot, and you know it's going to go in, it's butter every time because that's what you're training. But you decide I want to be on, Baller's Life or some social media platform, which is always cool, right? You go and you try to dunk it, and say if you get blocked or you miss a dunk, and then the team gets a rebound, they go down, they score, right? Like people aren't thinking about that. It's like now you just had a 3-point swing, right, or 2-point swing because you could have made that easy floater jump shot, mid range jump shot, but you decide to, hey, it's about me, and I want to be on social media. That's what I think. A lot of social media platforms is hurting the players because now it's not about making the right play or scoring the basketball. It's like, oh, I want to get on somebody's highlight film. And it's like, well, that can hurt you, but I get it. It can also do you good because if you make it great, you're on people's social media platform. But if you miss it, you don't think about the importance of the game. How did that affect the game, right? Could that have been a time bucket to, put you guys up to or tie the game or, cut the lead a little bit? But you go and try to dunk somebody, you miss, and they go down, they hit a 3. Now you're down 5, you're down 6, or whatever the point, the situation is. Like, that's why I think social media is kind of hurting us. It's taking away the IQ of the game and the understanding of what your team actually needs to win. It's becoming more so about let me do this so I can post this on my social media that I dunked on somebody. Granted, you just lost a game. You lost a game by, 5-6 points. But as long as these kids don't care, as long as you are able to put this on social media, you're happy. And that's why I get frustrated too. It's like, dude, you lost. But coach, you see me cross this guy over, but he won. Right? He won. That's the point. He won.
Or they get somebody to touch the floor, but they missed the shot and they still happy.
Like he won, brother. And I tell my player, I'm like, you guys, and even when I play pickup with some of these young guys now, they get into a whole, oh, you can't guard me, you can't stop me. But I'm like, dude, I won. I'm not out here trying to, to break your ankles. I'm out here trying to win this ball game so I can stay on the floor and get my cardio in. I don't care how I'm doing it. I'm gonna go off 100 screens. I'm gonna stop behind. I'm gonna play at my pace. I'm gonna do what I'm good at. If that's shooting, that's what I'm good at. I don't need to break you guys down and go behind my back and get an ooh and an ah because that's tiring. Because now I gotta go back on the other end and play defense. I gotta run through the screen. I gotta close out. I gotta box out. I gotta rebound. I gotta do all that stuff on the other end. So now you're telling me to do all that energy on this side, between the legs, all this create and try to beat you off the dribble, and then go back on the other end and do all that extra work, rebound, fight through screens, talk. No, that's exhausting. No, I'm not. That's not basketball. It's trying to figure out the mismatches and keeping the game simple.
Yeah, and that is the missing ingredients, David. What you just said right there, and that this is my personality, that I don't do it from a frustration standpoint because I understand. First of all, everyone's got to make a living. 1, 2. There are so many kids that want to play basketball now and I know this is why I'm bringing AGB back in the way that we are, because I know there's lots of people that are looking for help and they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So I understand it, but my encouragement to you guys that are in the training gig, if you didn't play at a high level, then just dive in, learn from other people, and learn the why of what you're explaining. Because if you don't know the why, explaining the what doesn't really help these kids. And I'm watching them come to the college level, even at the NAI level, and they're really struggling because they're doing a bunch of what, and they don't understand the why, and it doesn't work.
It's bad, man. Yeah. It's so bad.
One more vent I gotta get off my chest as a dunker. I want people to understand David's not going after dunkers. The best thing that ever happened to me was once I was able to dunk a ball. Now I'm talking about like once I stopped trying to dunk, when I could
Mhm.
actually dunk a ball. That was the best thing that happened to me because I wanted to do it so much. It forced me to go to the hole hard.
Harder.
Before I was able to dunk, I would go up kind of soft. But once you're
Hmm.
able to dunk, you really maximize your jump, try to get a full extension, and
Hmm.
then that makes you a better layup guy.
Hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with going to the basket strong. But
Yeah.
my encouragement to you guys is get to the point where you're not trying to dunk. If
Yeah.
you're trying to dunk, it's time to work on your mid range
Time
or
to work
floater.
on that memory.
But when you're a dunker, you just go to the basket strong, and then you know you can adjust to the layup.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the problem. A lot of these kids, like, they train for that, right? They train like boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna have a free lane. I'm gonna rise up and dunk somebody. It's like, no, man, you got that second or the third line of defenders waiting for you. You're not gonna be able to always take off, where you want to take off and rise up on somebody. And sometimes it's kind of like you, it's just a naturally God given ability that you're gonna be that athlete that can rise up and dunk on somebody. But if they step up hard and take away your platform where you can your takeoff platform, what do you got? What else you got? And I see enough. That's where a lot of kids struggle. It's like, well, coach, I can't get to my spot. Well, no. What else you got in your bag? Can you get to a spot and pull up? Can you, inside hand? Can you Euro step them? Can you float? Like a lot. I hear even from coaches, like people telling these kids don't even use floaters no more. I'm like, why? Why? Like, especially if you're an undersized guard, that's one of your best friends. Nice high, hook off the glass or nice high floater so that 7-footer can't block your shot.
It's
You
not
know,
popular on social, coach.
it's not popular. I'm like, and that's why I get so frustrated. Like, I teach my sister the floater, and she uses it. And I love it when she does. Just because when she playing against some taller players, she'll get into the paint and she'll see that tall player step up, and other girls, not saying on her team, just other girls that I saw when I was in Orlando, they get to that paint, and this girl will step up and they're trying to shoot it, and they get stuck. And then I see my sister come, she'll get into that paint and she'll have that nice touch and that floater, and she's able to get off her shot, right? And I just think the floater it needs to be in everybody's game, especially if you're undersized guard. And that I tell people all the time, it's like sooner or later, like probably not right now, but if you want to get to that next level, you guys got to understand ball screens. You guys got to understand how to
Oh
how
my
to come
god.
off of ball screens. You guys got to understand where that big is going to be. You got to understand what your big is calling out, what calls he's calling. If he's going to roll, is he going to pop? Is he going to run? Is he going to down screen? What is he going to do off this when I come off this screen? And a lot of trainers can't even go through that, man. That's why I get so frustrated. It's like you're teaching this player, all this stuff, and you have not yet to taught him how to shoot and how to come off ball screens, right? But you're teaching him everything else, and you're putting him all over social media because he's dunking the basketball. But now when it's time to actually come out and play basketball, he can't come off a ball screen clean. And that was one of the things I struggled with when I was in school because I got this 7 foot. What's Don? His name was Don Lawson. He was like 6'9", 6'10", just ripped up. He was from Leo. And dude, every time he jumped out on that screen, I picked the ball up and they trapped the hell out of me. And they
Mhm.
stole it. I never was taught how to come off a ball screen. I never understood, okay, how do I attack this big? Do I need to drag him out? Do I need to pull him out? Do I need to keep pulling him to the side so I can create more space to throw it back to my big? Do I come off one and hit the lift guy? Do I pocket pass? There's so many reads. And when I talk to a lot of trainers nowadays, I'm like, tell me a couple of reads that you would do off a ball screen. They don't. They don't know how, but you're training.
Well, you know what? I want to share the accountability for that as because and this is actually a great question I wanted to ask
Mhm.
you today anyway. So I'll share the accountability to say I don't believe that's all on trainers. So me,
Mhm.
my thing is I'm more coach than trainer. I like training,
Mhm.
but I think I like coaching a little bit more because it gets me into that chess piece, and I like to be competitive with the other coach.
Right. Right.
Um, so, but me at AGB, I mean, we're going to teach you ball screens, and we're going to teach all those things. We're known for that. So that leads me to this question. I hired you as a coach years ago.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love you as a coach. You're an intense coach. You're a knowledgeable coach. You love on your guys. Why did you choose the training path, not the coaching path? Answer that question, but also then tell me how you see the accountability split between those two things.
I have more fun with training. I have a lot more fun with training. Um, it's too much politics when it comes to coaching. Not saying anything to you. It's just too much headache. I still do coach. I coach over at Marmion, but um, just coaching AU ball. I mean, I've been offered a couple of coaching spots to come, coach at AU, different school or different programs. But I just can't deal with it. A lot of it's it sucks to say it's the parents. A lot of it is the parents. A lot of it is kids think they know better. A lot of it is kids. Some kids just can't handle some type of coaches being an aggressive coach or being that friendly coach. Kids don't know how to adapt. Kids don't know their personalities yet. Kids want everything handed to them. But me personally, I chose this training path just because I enjoy it a lot more. I don't see training as training to, just help these kids reach their goal as being basketball players. I chose training because I felt, I'm going to help you and do everything I can to get you to where you need to get to. I never promise kids, hey, I'm going to get you to the D1 level. Some kids might, some kids not. But I also took this role because I want to be a mentor. I also want to help you understand how to become a better leader, a better young adult, young man, or young woman, and how to prepare yourself for life after the game of basketball, because this ball is going to stop bouncing. It's going to stop bouncing. So I took on that role to be a trainer because, I'm going to help you, teach you all the things that you need to teach or know for basketball, but let's also teach you life through this game, right? Not just, playing basketball, but let's put a direct correlation on, the competitive nature of real life, right? And I tell all my guys, even when I coach at Marmion, it's a job on the line. I always love using this as a job on the line, a $500,000 a year job. It's you and this guy from North Carolina or South Carolina or LA, right? It's one position, right? It's one job. Who wants it? So they're going to go look at this kid from, LA, and they're going to look at you. And they're going to weigh the pros and cons of who they feel that's going to be a better fit for their, for their company. Why should they give you that job versus the kid from or the guy from LA? And I bring it back. I said, it's scholarship, it's kid from LA, and then it's you. Why do they want to give you this scholarship over that kid from LA? What attributes or what can you do to make their program better? Not only on the court, but off the court. How are you going to represent their brand as well? Are you going to be a knucklehead? Are you going to get yourself in trouble versus this kid who can actually hoop and he's going to do everything the right way, right? It comes so much more than just scoring the basketball, because coaches look at everything. They look how you conduct yourself as a young man or a young woman on the court and even off the court. Coaches ask everybody. It's crazy, but I used to be able to get into the gym at High Negan, and they even asked the janitor, Andy Hipsher. He asked our janitor, how was David Brown towards you when you're trying to get into the gym, when he was trying to get in the gym? And he never told me that. He never told me that until, I was in my last year. He said, because I was just, a nice guy. And he told me, he asked my janitor, because the janitor was awesome. But, coaches look at all that. They ask people. They're going to figure out who you are as a person. They're going to see how you treat your teammates. They're going to see everything. And then they're going to go look at other kid and say, what can he do, right? How is he on and off the court, So if they like that kid better than you, guess what? They give him that position. Now you're stuck out on the streets trying to figure out, how to provide for your family. So I always do a direct correlation of how basketball and life are just so on one, because that ball is going to stop bouncing sooner than later.
So I love that, man. It's so huge. I just can't let that go. It's just a sentence. I just want you guys to hear what he said. They checked with the janitor to see how you treat him. So if they could check with the janitor, that means they can check with anyone. So you always have to be mindful of how you treat your math. Look, we all have that teacher that we don't like. We all have that situation in our high school that we feel like this person's on my nerves, but that might be the person they ask. So we've got to be really conscious about the way we treat everyone around us in our inner circle, the circle around it. That's such good advice, Coach. But look, man, this logo is intentionally designed for parents, coaches, and athletes, bro. That's what this is. This is all of us getting shoulder to shoulder and like not playing in the blame game. So talk to the parents. You say, because you're not the only one, man. It's a lot
Yeah.
of coaches that get frustrated with parents. There's referees getting frustrated with parents, but parents are a big part of my heart. I'm doing this to try to help
Mhm.
parents. So talk to them about their involvement in their kids' journey.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the parents that I work with. Yeah, I get mad at a lot of them because they try to overdo it, man. A lot of these parents try to live through their kids. A lot of parents feel like they're giving their kids, advice to help them succeed, but in reality, you're hurting this guy because now you're trying to overcoach him or tell him what to do, and then I always call it, peekaboo, right? There's something always happen if they're playing a game and they make a mistake, they're not looking at their coach. They're going to peekaboo at their parents to see how they react, right? And that drives a coach crazy. Or if you got your parent yelling on the court and trying to coach, that drives the coaches crazy because they have a platform already set in place. So don't interrupt it, right? If you're so good at it, come coach. Because parents think coaching is so easy. They think training is so easy. But it's like, dude, you never played this game. You never coach. You never doing what your son or daughter is doing. So why do you feel it's necessary to tell them what they need to do? Granted, there are some parents out there that has played that, do give good advice, but I've come across a lot of parents who's telling their kids one thing and then the kid go try to do it and they look like an absolute idiot, right? So if I'm a parent and say you do have a top player in the country, just sit back and relax. Even if you have a mid-major player, if you have any type player that's just getting any type of scholarship, just be there for them, right? Just be there for them. Put them in the position that they need to be in to be successful. If that means hiring them a trainer, do that for them. If that means hiring them a shooting coach, that means taking them to the gym and you rebound. Just be there for them, but don't be there and try to coach them along his way if you don't really know the game, right? Because now they got so much going on in their head. They're listening to you. They're listening to the head coach. They're listening to assistant coach. They're listening to the trainer. They're listening to this. It's just too many mouths that they're hearing or voices that they're hearing. So, like even with me, when people tell me, "Oh, you have your sister, you train her," I don't yell at my sister. I enjoy her, and she comes to me because she wants to train. I never be like, "Hey, let's get in the gym." If she wants to get in the gym, come on. But when I'm out there seeing her play, I don't yell. I don't tell her what to do. I let her make the choice. And then after every single game, you play good, kid. We'll tighten up some things like, but you play good. Keep your head up. Let's keep it moving, right? But it'll be too many times after games I see his parents just going in on their kids, and then it's just like you got to keep their spirits up. So parents just kind of ease back a little bit. I know you want the best for your kids, but sometimes it's just you being there and give them a hug and saying, "Great job, kid. Let's go get something to eat." Or it can be like, "Hey, you missed a couple of shots. So what? Let's get in the gym. We'll get some shots up tomorrow, and we'll move forward." But let's keep going. Like that's what I feel like parents just need to start doing. I could be wrong because I don't have any kids, but that's how I'm handling with my sister. And I'm glad that she has a couple of offers on the table, but it's their dream. If they want to get there, if they want to work, just be able to give them the sources that they need because we didn't have that growing up, right? I didn't have that really growing up. I didn't have a trainer. I didn't have a strength and conditioning coach. I had to figure out on my own, and I had to go through my brother and dad. They're lifting weights. I'm looking at them like, okay, they're bench pressing. I'm a bench press, but no one really showed me the route that it really took to get to this level. So parents just be happy that your kids are actually doing something that you both love instead of just sitting in the house playing the PlayStation, all day. Just
I love
enjoy.
I love that you mentioned your father and your brother again, because that's a good way for me to respond to what you're saying, which is, so your father and your brother, what they did to you was they beat you up, they beat you, they talk
Mhm.
trash, right? And at that same time, what they did for you was made you tough.
It's made me tough. My
They made
my
you a
brother,
better person.
my brother, my dad, they never like even in high school. I played with my brother in high school. He was a senior. When I was a freshman. The Brown brothers. That's what they call it. He never yelled at me once. Right? He never pushed me to do anything. He just told me just be respectful when I'm on this team. Right? Just don't be an idiot. Same with my dad. They never pushed me to do anything crazy. You know, say, hey, we're going to the gym. You know, you want to come? Cool, let's go play once. And then when we play one on one, yeah, they push me. You know, call me a punk, soft. You know, it sucks to say, but I'm like, man, you know what? That fired me up because now I'm going to show you I'm not a punk. I'm going to score on you every single time. And then that transition to my high school when I saw someone rank higher than me. It's like, okay, whoever made this list, I'm gonna prove to him that your list is BS. Because now you got this guy who's ranked 4 and you got me ranked 5 or 6, and I'm about to play him right now. I'm dropping 30 on him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you why.
Yeah. And that's what I would say to parents that are listening to this. I want you to, if you see that coach, and look, let's admit that sometimes it is the coach that is going too far, or is doing something wrong, or isn't playing your kid, or whatever the case is. But if you think of it from a point of view of what is the coach doing to my kid, you're going to get frustrated. If you think about it from what is this coach doing for my kid, you'll realize what he's doing is he's giving your kid some adversity to get through. And anytime any adult is giving your young athlete a safe place to go through some adversity, they're doing something for them. And that's a good point of view to keep your frustrations down. But with that being said, David, I want to invite you back to the show because one of the things I want to do, I'm trying to work my way up to it, but I want to get multiple panels here where we get a trainer, a head coach, an AD, a parent, and an athlete all in one show.
That'd be dope.
And we just chop it up, man. Like, let's just be honest with each other, say what frustrates us about each other, and listen, because I think there's lots of accountability for all of us.
Everybody, man. I agree. I agree 100%, man. That would be a dope segment to do, just to get everybody's input, man. I would love to come back on. I mean, I can talk basketball with you, training with you, you know, with anybody for the best of them, man. But, you know, just how much I love the game.
All right, so tell them I got a tough question for you, but before we get to the tough question that we end with all of our guests, I'll give you an easy one. Tell my people where they can find you, okay?
Yeah. So you guys can find me on all social media platforms, all about basketball training. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter now. I just figured out how to do that whole Twitter thing. I'm on where is that? TikTok. What else is out there? Facebook, YouTube. I'm on it. Might not be the biggest and greatest on there, but I'm on there. Right, I'm trying to get myself to a new level. I'm out of the Chicagoland area. I usually do a lot of my training in St. Charles and in Aurora at Marmion Academy. And I'm always easily, you know, reachable. So if you guys,
how's the system work? Now you take on as many clients as you can get. You limit it.
I take on as many clients as I can get, man. I want to help everyone and anyone because I know, you know, people always have things going on. You know, kid can be in a 3-sport athlete. You know, baseball, basketball, football, track, wherever it is. I just want to be that trainer that has the open door for any and everyone. And I am, you know, trying to grow out this business a little bit more. You know, I'm hiring a couple other trainers that will be trained underneath me, and that way, when you know I can't get to the kid, you'll get someone who's been trained underneath me, understands the game, and you'll get the best, you know, of both for us, pretty much.
All right, man. So here's the last one, man. We ask everybody this on their way out. We wait for the final question, for the most vulnerable question, but we're on a mission to normalize insecurity, Coach. So we want people to realize it's no big deal. It's just like being hungry. It's just like being tired. So what makes you insecure, and what's your AGB? What's the thing that you're trying to get better at that sometimes that voice in your head doubts?
What I'm trying to get better at is really just understanding everyone's purpose, man. Really, I gotta stop. I gotta stop putting so much focus on what we were just talking about. You know, people just training just to train. Right? Like what's really their focus, right? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? Are they really trying to help this person? I got to be better at that, right? And I just got to start being, you know, more approachable a little bit. I kind of get really closed off. I get kind of like, don't talk to me, you know, because you don't really know the game. You know, I got to start being more open and listening to any and everybody, because I do feel that you can learn from anyone. So I feel like that's something on me that I just need to be more open, more approachable. I need to collab more with other trainers. I need to just start, you know, instead of being that open door for all the kids and the high school and the pros and middle school players, I need to also be an open door for other trainers that have questions. And I started doing that with my buddy that's actually out in Rockford. His name is Matt Protz. He's starting his little training business, and I was just like, you know what, man, let me help you. Let me open this door for you. And if you got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. So that's something I'm working on. I do want to do a lot more collaboration with a lot of other trainers, especially in the Chicagoland area, and just showcase, what I can do, what I can teach. And I also want to, kind of rub off some of my knowledge and give it to these other trainers as well, so they can have some stuff in their back pocket.
I appreciate that, man. Well, you always know you got a partner in me, man. I've had I think I've seen your potential since you were a young man, man. I love what you're doing, man. Stay encouraged, bro. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
I need one of those shirts too, man.
I got you.